Good morning, afternoon, evening or night, whenever you're watching this, welcome. This river is the River Calder in West Yorkshire, and this is a spot on it that has a few things of interest to me. It's got the ruins of a large old mill, first appearing on maps as a fulling mill in 1599, and on the other side there's a park which is built on an old municipal dump site. Since the last time I was here, a few floods have come through, changed the size, shape and position of this beach I'm standing on. It's now about 3 meters further downstream. Hopefully the floodwaters drop some interesting things on this beach for me to find. I have already found a few things, obviously that old relic of industry, but first some nicely worn glass that I can use in craft projects. And I think I know what this thing poking out is. Glass bottle stopper, probably from a perfume bottle. Knowing the rough age of some of the dump sites that are alongside this river and its tributaries, it's fair to guess that it's at least 80 years old, and could be older. Right then, this small mill trolley. I really like this. Can't know for sure which mill it was used in, almost certainly not the one that we're currently alongside. The concretion around the wheels suggests it's been in the river a long time. It's hard to imagine it will survive many more flood surges, but if I take it, I haven't really got a use for it, or the skills yet to restore it sympathetically. I do really like it, but I think I need to think about whether to take it or not. Maybe come back for it another day, if I can think of something to do with it. First hint of a fossil. I think it's leaf material, and that rarely comes through clearly in the local gritstone. The root-like stigmaria of lycopsid trees like Sigillaria and Lepidodendron do fare much better. It's usually Lepidodendron stigmaria that I find hereabouts, and one of the best examples I have came from this beach. Slag glass, byproduct of iron smelting. Before efficient transport links were built, almost every county in the UK would have had some level of ironworks. Not much here until the Industrial Revolution. It was mostly a farming area before. That over there is the edge of a municipal dump site. A combination of bottle diggers and floodwaters have revealed things in a few places. Today I'm planning on heading over there and following it downstream a bit, further than I explored last time I was here. And of course I'll head up to the bridge too, a range of maybe 150 meters, 200 maximum. I've seen pictures. They're hard to fathom, but I think those arches were windows for one of the machine shops. The current ruins are from the most recent rebuild in 1877, but the mill is older, first appearing on maps as a fulling mill in 1599, and is recorded as having earlier origins as a corn grinding mill. Japanese knotweed. Another year and it might cover the whole beach. The last time I was here, this was definitely too deep to traverse. I can see a lot of iron in the water, and not much else. Whatever that was, it's very firmly in there, embedded into a stone block. This is why I came down here, just to see the arches more clearly and see if there was anything interesting behind them. Hard to see anything apart from vegetation and an awful lot of rubble. There might be the tangled remains of machinery buried beneath, but I can't see anything. Now that's odd. An iron bar clad in lead. Any ideas what it would have been for? My brain says lightning rod, but my brain also says that that's probably wrong. There doesn't seem to be much down this end, except for garden waste from the terrace of houses up the hill, amidst a lot of stone from the mill. I think, aside from the problem of getting things out of here, this might be a reasonable spot for a spot of magnet fishing. Any magnet fishers watching, can you tell me, is it okay to leave the things you find if you're in an inaccessible place and the things you find aren't any problem to wildlife, like cast iron from old mill structures? That's a familiar shape. An old library stamp. Well, of course, not that old, but curious nonetheless, the chain of events that must have occurred for it to get here. It's certainly not the usual sort of thing I find in a river. Not that there's ever been a usual. Anyway, a bit of plastic out of the river and some brass inside. Handle of... nope. A plastic branch. Has a bit of weight to it, rust stain at the thin end, so maybe iron inside. Anyone recognise it? I'm going to take it home and bin it anyway. This looks possibly hand-shaped, and if so, the closest thing I know of to this shape is a really, really old quern stone, basically a milling bowl for grinding grain, and I'm in no way saying that that's what it is, but if that's what it turns out to be, it could be the oldest human-related relic I've ever found. I am inclined to think that it's not that, but I'm going to take it just in case it is. I might take this too, an imprint fossil that's different to most I've found. I don't know for sure this is a stigmaria, it looks a lot more like a snake skin. Might be a fossil of an above-ground branch, which would make this a first such find for me. I'm happy with that. I'm just about done with this beach. It's not had too many interesting things today, but here in what I think was maybe the outflow from the boiler that powered the mill's machinery, a piece of cast iron with decoration. It's hard to see if there was actually a decorative pattern on the arms, but there's certainly a rose in the circle, probably meant to be the white rose of Yorkshire. Spikes on the back. Say this was a plaque, attached to something. I have no idea what. And there's something else down here I don't think is anywhere near as old. I think it's steel rather than cast iron, and to do with electricity. Possibly a joint between sections of overhead cable, but I really don't know for sure. It's quite bent out of shape, and I'm not 100% sure what it would originally have looked like. Base of a vase, and could be the base for something again one day. That looks like a side panel of a bench, maybe grabbed by floodwaters from someone's garden, or chucked in. Something round and metal. Brass rivets, and a bit of brass on the back. Guessing motor related rather than engine. Anyone know? I see some brass down there, in water at the depth limit of what my boots are made for. I might get wet getting it, but I am a sucker for old brass. Oh dear, my hair is getting out of hand. Really going to have to give myself a haircut soon. And the brass thing is maybe the back of a carriage clock. Or perhaps not the back, maybe the plate onto which the clock face was attached. Or something else, industrial dial piece. Nice chunk of brass anyway. I'm going to make it over to the other side without climbing up the hillside and crossing the bridge. I'll admit I didn't quite make it. I've currently got water sloshing around in my right boot, and when I cross back over the river I'll probably soak my left foot too. Oh well. That's a surprising sight. I didn't know what it was from further downstream, but now I can clearly see a pile of straw bales in the river. I wonder if they fell off the back of a truck crossing the bridge, or if they've been swept downstream by the February floods. It's looking like it's too neat to have travelled far. My money's on it falling off the bridge. Ooh, looks like there's at least one mushroom growing on it. I tried once to grow mushrooms on straw, and I succeeded in growing mushrooms. Just not the variety of mushrooms that I was actually trying to grow. Jelly ear fungus. Most of the jelly ear varieties are edible, and this one has a reasonable taste. I'm just not a huge fan of their texture. I know that shape, but I might be wrong in the exact placement of it. My memory says backplate in a fireplace, but is it too flat for that? Maybe a front plate on a chimney press to allow access for chimney sweeping. Anyway, fairly plain concentric circles, and possibly something in the top piece. If it had been something pictorial, I would have taken it to clean it up, but as it is, that'd be a lot of work for not very much. Maybe another mudlarker will find it and like it enough to give it the TLC it needs to bring it back to life. If you see anything interesting, do shout out. It's becoming a bit cliché to say that, but I still imagine people shouting at me to notice something that sometimes I won't have spotted, but most times will have noticed, but just not be that into it. Here's another thing that I'd really like to take. I can think of a few simple craft projects to do with these slices of a grand old tree, but can I get them out of here? That is the question. And since I've crossed the river on foot, one answer is, not by the way I've come. And over here is a public park, and carrying these through it in broad daylight might raise a few questions. And there's quite a few resident bugs, which I don't particularly want to make homeless. Maybe another day, if I can park closer and it's raining, so there's few people about. Heading now to the exposed parts of the old dump, see if there's any nice bottles or things that have come out since the last time I visited a year and a half ago, and head down further than I did then too, see what I missed. Now, while I was on the beach on the other side, I did see a group of kids hanging out along here, and so I probably won't be touching anything much. But if I do, it's only a minor inconvenience. I'll have to give my hands another once over with antiviral foam when I stop. I do need to take precautions now that might seem to the casual observer to be above and beyond necessity, but in my circumstances, I can't be too careful. There's certainly been a little activity. I'm seeing things that I didn't see last time, though it's unclear if it's bottle diggers or floodwaters doing the digging. There's definite evidence that the floodwaters rose this high. I think it went higher still, covering the park. This is about 10 feet above the current water level, the park another 4 or 5 feet of elevation. This little river can become a mighty leviathan sometimes, wreaking havoc. This, though, looks like the fresh work of bottle diggers, who really shouldn't be digging under a public park. They don't have permission, and they're greatly speeding the erosion of a play area. And yes, I know that if I take a bottle I'm going to get accusations of hypocrisy, just like last time I was here. And that may be, but I like this bottle, which somebody has dug out and left. I wouldn't take it if it was still in the ground. I simply wouldn't dig here. If it was in the river, I wouldn't get that accusation, and yet I would still find it because either a night-digging raider or the river had dug it out. I would just be a step away from explicitly identifying its origins. I like bottle digging, I do, but not on a public park, at night, making no attempt to fill in the hole afterwards. Rant over. Gorgeous piece of an Art Nouveau tile, and more plain edge piece. I think I'll be taking both. I can cut the broken one down and find uses for them. I used to paint landscapes on pieces of old tile like this. Used to being the operative part of that sentence. They didn't usually turn out well. I've passed the main body of the dump and there's still a few things to find, like a tiny little egg. From the size, the light blue colour and the light speckling, I'd have to guess that this is probably a bullfinch egg. And this thing lying in the mud is part of an old transformer, maybe half an ounce of scrap copper on it, and for that I'll take it. There's footsteps in the sand here, both human and canine. I guess they weren't really here for the things from this outlying region of the dump site. The footprints don't leave the water's edge. Maybe there's nothing left to find here, but maybe there is. A little brass ring. It's not much, but it's a start, and where there's one thing, there's usually more. Indeed, there's another brass ring right here. It took me a while to see this, right in plain view as it was. Nice little poisons bottle. And up here, a vulcanite stopper. A fairly nice one too, which along with the glass one I found in the first minute or so today, makes this a pretty good lark for me. Now if only I could find a marble, and something mysterious. There's a little bit of copper pipe up there. We'll collect that if I can. Looks like a coin. It is a little farthing with its image of a wren on it. Now, age. I can't actually read the date on it, it's too covered in verdigris, but this design came in 1936 and was used until Decimal Day in 1971. Not immensely old, but I find very few old coins, so I'm very happy with it. This is curious, 2 woven circles of twigs with iron spokes between them. At least that's what I think the materials are. So, a craft project is the simplest explanation, and spell or charm from, I'm really not sure, Wiccan, witchcraft practitioner, pagan, would be a more complicated guess, and I'd need to research a bit before being at all confident in saying. Interesting though it is, I think I'm going to leave it. Wow, surprising. All I could see of it was a thin line of copper oxide colour, probably the top of the washing posser, or dolly as they were commonly called. Not much in terms of historical value, but a nice little bit of scrap nonetheless. Little bit of wire. I'm having to juggle things, a bag, a camera, and a hand for grabbing things. Before you suggest a chest or head cam mount, there is a simple reason why I don't do that. Handheld is the absolute best option for pointing the lens where I want, 95% of the time. This is one of the 5% of times that a chest cam would be better. Wellington boot. I wonder, have any of you ever actually lost a boot while exploring a river? I wouldn't have thought it would be that easy unless you were wearing boots far too big. Right, getting a bit tired, so this might be the last beach for today. Do shout out if you see anything. I see a brick, and another, and another. If I had land and more upper body strength, I might consider collecting them all to build something. Oh, I see something. Brass something, light bulb shape. But now that is mysterious to me. It certainly looks like it has electrical contacts like a light bulb, but this is no ordinary old light bulb, and I'm pretty sure it's not the remains of a light bulb. I've never seen anything quite like it. Anyone recognise it? It might be something quite mundane, but I'm happy to find it. This hillside is where I got down to the river, and it's my exit point now, and I'm very happy because last time this hillside was covered in bottles and cans. I pulled out 2 bin bags full, and it's no worse today than I left it a year and a half ago. A little effort can sometimes make a lasting difference. A roundup time. Up until recently, the video I shot there last time was my most viewed video. Probably because I put the plastic alligator bath toy I found in the thumbnail, and that's about as clickbaity as I get. This time I didn't find anything that will make this video sore, but that's okay. I enjoyed myself, got out into the river and found a few interesting things, as well as some useful materials and footage for a video. I found some nice pieces of river glass, good ingredients for craft projects, 2 nice additions to my collection of bottle stoppers. I do have a few ideas for what to do with them that will hopefully be better than them lying in a box in a shed, if only I get around to doing something. The pottery pieces are varied, some I picked up with my own project in mind, some for James of Find and Create, and some simply because they appeal to me, and I am trying to learn more about how to date pottery. Without much success, because my brain does not hold on to that information well. Coin. First farthing I found mudlarking. Still can't get a date off it. It is quite corroded, but I'm happy to have found it. I'm happy too with a fossil, which I'm reasonably certain is a mould fossil of a branch from a lepidodendron. I'd be happier still finding the true form fossil. Maybe one day I will. The stone which I thought might be a quernstone, dating back a millennium or more, and used by ancient people to grind their grains, absolutely isn't a quernstone. The material is just far too soft. It has mica flakes in it, and I think it's a form of schist. Probably gets its shape from having been formed around a round, harder stone. I don't know if I'll keep it, but if I can't think of something to do with it, I can simply return it to the river. I am interested in trying to restore some iron things. This would not be my first choice. I'd ideally like a very old axe head, but it makes little difference for the first tentative steps into such a discipline, and I can practice on this. Not yet, when I've got the equipment. Anyone recognise what it's off? In the end, I only brought home 1 bottle from the dump site. The other one that I planned to bring home had a big crack that I hadn't noticed. Obviously the digger who dug it out had noticed, because otherwise that was a really nice bottle. I found a fair amount of brass and copper things, some lead too, a bag of wire not shown here because bag of wire or scenery, easy choice. And finally this thing. I can't find anything online about it because I haven't a clue which search terms to use. Everything I've tried so far has come up empty. I might try Google's reverse image search and putting up photos of mystery finds on my Instagram in the hopes that somebody can identify them, but it doesn't really matter to me if I learn before or after the release of a video. Does it matter to you, watching? I haven't really been on Instagram much in the last year, and I was surprised at how many people have followed my account in my absence. Sorry I haven't been posting much. Same thing with my Facebook author page, which has been neglected too. I do think I should try to post more or less regularly, and if mystery find identification is a welcome thing there, do let me know. I think I might go back for the tree trunk slices, because they'd make great tabletops, if I can sand away the slight hints of rot. There are a few thank yous to make since the last video. People have bought some more things off my Amazon wishlist, which will help in making videos. I'm afraid I don't know who to thank for the nitrile gloves, which arrived without a note, but thank you very much whoever sent them. They are essential kit in a lot of what I'm doing, and very much appreciated. Thank you to Mrs. Elaine Buckshee for this fine caliper tool, which I've already used and will undoubtedly use many times over many projects. It was very kind of you, very helpful, and very much appreciated. Thank you so much, El Guerin, for 3 separate but related purchases, 2 different ranges of drawing pens and a sketchbook. All of them are going to be used. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to do any actual drawing videos, but I do sketch out designs for each craft video I plan and might show the sketches, or indeed the sketching when I'm a bit more confident. And Robin Braddock, whose generosity I know is extended far and wide among us YouTubing mudlarkers. Thank you so much for this tripod, which is going to be invaluable in both my attempts at magnet fishing videos and craft videos. Thank you, Robin. A big rolling and constantly deserved thank you to all the people who've gifted through Ko-fi. It's all been put towards tools and materials for making videos. The most recent arrival is this Canon M50 mirrorless camera, which will see action filming craft videos when I've gotten myself a large enough memory card, and mudlarking videos when I've got suitable protection for it, maybe a separate camera bag, and either a cage grip like Alex of Northern Mudlarks uses, or a 3-axis gimbal to maximise what smoothness I can film at. Recommendations are very welcome. I'm not at all sure which options are in that sweet spot of being both good and affordable. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have liked it, then please give it a like. Further options are a comment, a share, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications, and the further options are, and only if you'd like to, you can buy me a hypothetical coffee through Ko-fi, link in the description, or something off my Amazon wishlist, which is ingredients for the many varied videos I'd like to make. Thank you all very much for watching, and for now, goodbye.